You are so difficult, you ruin every Christmas for everyone. My husband Mark spat that in our living room on Christmas Eve, with our families sitting there pretending not to hear. 5 hours later, at 12:01 a.m., my son called me, and by the time I saw what he was talking about, Mark was the one turning pale in front of everyone. As always, before we dive into a story with an ending that's going to feel so satisfying, let's do a quick roll call. Type present, and tell me which city you're watching this story from in the comments. For everyone who's already liked and subscribed, I pray that God makes your problems easier, widens your income, and keeps you healthy. Thank you, my friends. Now, listen carefully to my story. My name is Laura, I'm 42, and for a long time I really believed I was the problem in my own house. Mark and I had been married for 18 years. We had 2 sons. Jake, our college kid who was home for the holidays, and Noah, our 12-year-old who still believed Christmas was magical, even if the adults around him kept messing it up. Christmas Eve was always at our place. My late father had left me this house, and ever since then Mark liked to treat it like his stage. Every year he complained about how much work it was, how much money it cost, and then reminded everyone loudly that he let us use his bonus to make it special. That night I'd spent all day cooking. Ham, mashed potatoes, pies, cookies, the whole thing. My mom had passed away years ago, so I tried to honor her by keeping her recipes alive. Mark's mother, Evelyn, was sitting on our couch like a queen, scrolling her phone and occasionally looking up to judge the decorations. Started small. "You're putting too much salt," Mark said earlier in the kitchen, grabbing the spoon right out of my hand. "You never listen when I tell you these things." "I've made this every year," I said quietly. "People like it." He rolled his eyes. "You like it? That's different." Little stabs like that had become normal. I used to argue back. Then he'd tell me I was overreacting, dramatic, sensitive. After enough times, I stopped arguing and started wondering if he was right. By the time everyone sat down for dinner, I was already tired and on edge. The table looked pretty though. Garland, candles, the good plates. Noah sat next to me, bouncing in his chair. Jake sat next to Mark, looking like he was bracing himself for impact. We were halfway through dinner when it blew up. Evelyn made a joke about how I'd finally learned not to burn the rolls this year. Few people laughed politely. I forced a smile and nodded. I tried to change the subject and asked Jake about his finals. "You always do that," Mark snapped suddenly. And blinked. "Do what?" "Change the subject when someone gives you feedback," he said, loud enough for everyone. "It's exhausting, Laura." The table went quiet. Forks paused midair. "I'm just trying to keep the mood light," I said, feeling my face heat. He let out a short laugh that wasn't funny at all. "There it is. You always think you're the hero in these situations. You're so difficult, you ruin every Christmas for everyone." I swear, the room tilted for a second. I could feel everyone staring at me, pretending they weren't. Jake shut his eyes for a moment like he'd heard this script before. Noah stared down at his plate. I went quiet for a few seconds because honestly, I didn't even know what to say. Evelyn clicked her tongue. "Mark, don't start." "That's the thing," he said, pointing his fork at me, ignoring her. "I don't start. She does. She pushes and pushes. Then when I finally say something, I'm the bad guy." I felt my hands start to shake under the table. In my head I was thinking, I made this entire meal, I cleaned this house top to bottom, and somehow I'm the one ruining Christmas. "I'm not trying to fight," I said softly. "Can we just eat, please?" Mark leaned back in his chair, like he was the one being attacked. "See, I'm trying to be honest, and she's not trying to fight. This is emotional manipulation." That word hit me hard. Manipulation. He'd used it before. He'd called me controlling, manipulative, unstable. Not when things were calm, but when he wanted me to shut up. "Dad, can we not do this?" Jake cut in. His voice was tight. "It's Christmas." Mark shot him a look. "You don't understand anything about adult relationships, Jake. Stay out of it." The rest of dinner was awkward silence and forced small talk. I stayed in the kitchen afterward, doing the dishes alone. Mark came in once, grabbed another beer, and acted like nothing had happened. He even leaned down and kissed my cheek. "You really need to work on how you react in front of people," he murmured. "You make me look like a monster." Fake sweetness. That was his favorite mask. Later that night, after everyone left and the house was finally quiet, he came into our bedroom with a different tone. "Look," he said, sitting on the edge of the bed. "I know I was harsh, but you know how you get. You twist everything I say. You make scenes. I'm tired of walking on eggshells." I stared at him. "You humiliated me in front of everyone." "I told the truth," he replied. "If the truth humiliates you, maybe think about that." Gaslighting round 300. I was so drained I didn't have it in me to fight. I turned off the lamp and rolled away from him. He huffed, grabbed his pillow and said, "Fine. I'll sleep on the couch. God forbid you take responsibility for once." I lay there in the dark, feeling like I was losing my mind. Maybe I am difficult. Maybe I do ruin things. I finally fell asleep around midnight, with my phone on the nightstand. At 12:01 a.m., it started buzzing. Half awake, I grabbed it. Jake's name lit up the screen. I immediately sat up, heart pounding. "Jake. What's wrong?" Answered. "Mom," he said, sounding out of breath and angry. "What the hell is on Facebook?" I blinked. "What?" "Go look," he said. "Dad posted something. Right after midnight. You need to see it now." My stomach dropped. I opened Facebook with shaking fingers. And there it was. A long, dramatic post from Mark, public for everyone to see. "Friends and family," it started. "I never thought I'd share something like this on here, but I can't keep hiding my truth. For years I've lived with someone who explodes over nothing, ruins every holiday, and makes me feel unsafe in my own home. He wrote about me like I was a monster. He said I screamed at the kids, that I threw things, that I had episodes." He ended it with, "Please pray for my sons who have had to grow up with this. I'm finally getting help and setting boundaries for the sake of my mental health and theirs." Underneath his post was a video. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear. Tapped it. It was from last Christmas. In the clip, I was standing by the tree, tears in my eyes, raising my voice. "I can't do this anymore, Mark," I was saying. "You always make me feel like garbage." In the video he sounded calm, reasonable. "I'm trying to talk, Laura," he said. "Please stop yelling in front of the kids." The comments under the post were already rolling in. "Stay strong, man. I had no idea you were going through this. She sounds toxic, I'm so sorry." I covered my mouth with my hand. I remembered that night. What the video didn't show was him cornering me in the kitchen, calling me a failure, saying my father would be ashamed of me. It didn't show him grabbing my wrist when I tried to walk away. He'd cut the video to make it look like I went off for no reason. "Mom," Jake said in my ear. "Are you seeing this?" "Yes," I whispered. "I'm coming over," he said. "I don't care what Dad says." He hung up before I could answer. I sat there in the dark, watching Mark's post gather likes and sympathetic comments. He was in the living room, snoring on the couch like a harmless victim. Something in me snapped. I'd always been scared to push back because he made me feel like I'd lose everything if I did. The house, the boys, my reputation. He'd said it 100 times in arguments. "If this ever goes to court, no one will side with you. I'll play the recordings. I'll get the kids. You know judges don't like angry wives." I used to swallow those threats and try to be better. But now he'd gone public. He was using the entire internet as a weapon. I got up, pulled on a sweater, and walked out to the living room. He was asleep on the couch, phone on his chest. I stood there for a second, breathing hard. Then I picked up his phone. It was unlocked. I went straight to his messages. We'd had fights about privacy before, but at that point I didn't care. If he was going to burn my reputation like that, I needed to know what he was planning. There was a text thread with someone named Greg Work. Opened it. Earlier that day, at 3 p.m. "Mark. Tonight should do it. Greg, you sure about posting all that? Mark, I need proof she's unstable when I file. Video plus post equals narrative. Once the court sees how she ruins every holiday, getting the kids and the house will be straightforward. Greg, you still owe me for covering that mess at work. Mark, relax. Once I refinance the house in my name, I can pay you back. Her dad's place is worth a fortune. I felt my knees go weak. So that was it. It was never about mental health or setting boundaries. It was about money and control. The house my father left me. The kids. He wanted it all. Kept scrolling. There were pictures of loan documents, emails about debt consolidation, messages about a credit card I'd never seen. Mark was tens of thousands in debt. He hadn't told me any of it. Instead, he was building a story where I was the unstable one so he could make me lose in court. I suddenly remembered something Noah had said a week earlier, in passing. Dad told me to always tell the truth if anyone asked where I'd rather live, he'd said while playing a game. He said you don't like being around people and you might freak out. At the time I'd brushed it off, told myself I was overthinking. Now it clicked into place. He'd been prepping our kid, using him as a prop. I put his phone back on his chest and stumbled to the kitchen, breathing fast. I could either keep being difficult in his story, or I could write my own. By the time Jake arrived, I'd already made coffee and printed screenshots of the texts and the post. He came in, hair messy, wearing a hoodie and sweatpants. His eyes were blazing. "Where is he?" Jake demanded. "Sleeping," I whispered. "Keep your voice down. Sit." He sat and I slid the papers across the table. He read them, his jaw tightening. "He really texted this?" Jake asked, tapping the line about getting the kids in the house. "Yes." Jake looked up at me. "We're going to destroy this plan, Mom." I let out a shaky laugh. "You sound so sure." "I've watched him do this to you my whole life," Jake said. "He provokes you, then plays the calm one. He tells everyone you're crazy. I used to believe parts of it when I was little. I don't anymore." That hurt and comforted me at the same time. "What do we do?" asked. Jake pulled out his own laptop. "First we save everything. Screenshots, downloads, whatever. He's going to delete stuff when he wakes up." For the next hour we worked quietly. We downloaded the Facebook video. Jake checked the data on it and frowned. "What?" asked. "This isn't from his phone," Jake said. "It's from the living room camera." "What camera?" asked, confused. He pointed to the corner of the room where a small black device sat on the bookshelf, blending into the decor. "That one." He must have installed it when he did his smart home upgrade a few months ago. My skin crawled. Had he been recording us this whole time? Jake clicked around. "If the video is from the camera, there's a full version somewhere. This one is edited. Can you find the original?" asked. He smirked a little. "He taught me enough about tech to make this possible." That's his mistake. While Jake worked on that, I texted my friend Dana. Dana was a paralegal at a family law firm. She'd offered to help me before, whenever Mark and I had bad fights. I'd always told her it wasn't that serious. This time, all I wrote was, "I think Mark is planning to take the kids and the house. Have proof. Can you talk tomorrow?" She responded immediately, even though it was after 1 a.m. "Yes. Come to my office at 10. By 2 a.m., Jake let out a low whistle. "Got it," he said. He'd managed to log into the camera system using one of Mark's favorite passwords. There, in a list, were dozens of saved clips. He pulled up the one from last Christmas. The full one. The video started earlier than the one on Facebook. It showed Mark in the kitchen, backing me into a corner, hissing through his teeth. "Go on," he said in the video. "Throw another tantrum. Maybe this time I'll finally have enough." "Stop filming me," I said, brushing at something in his hand. "Oh, do you see a camera?" he mocked. "No one's going to believe you, Laura. You look crazy when you cry like that." Then it showed him walking into the living room, turning on the tree lights, calling the kids over. acting like nothing happened. When I followed, eyes already red, he started poking at me about how I'd almost ruined Christmas again. In the full video you could see the pattern. Him pushing. Him needling. Him glancing toward the camera like he knew exactly what he was doing. Jake paused it, face pale. "He's sick," he said quietly. We downloaded the original clip too. Then we backed everything up to an external drive and my email, just in case. When Mark woke up the next morning, he acted like nothing weird had happened. He walked into the kitchen, kissed my cheek like he always did after a fight, and said, "Merry Christmas." Pulled away. "We need to talk," I said flatly. He frowned. "About what?" "About your post. About your messages to Greg. About this house," I said. For a second, shock flashed in his eyes. Then the mask snapped back on. "You went through my phone?" he asked, outraged. "Wow. You really are invading my privacy now. This is what abusers do." Abuser. The word made my ears ring. He was flipping the script again. "I saved everything," I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. "You can delete whatever you want now. It won't help." He stared at me, realizing this wasn't the same old "I'm sorry" conversation. "You think anyone's going to side with you," he said slowly. "You scream, you throw things." "I have the full video, Mark," I interrupted. "Not your edited version. The one where you're goading me on camera. The one where you talk to Greg about using it in court. You really think a judge won't notice that?" The color drained from his face for a split second. Then he laughed. "No one will care," he said. "I'm the stable parent. You're emotional. You're making up conspiracies now. This is exactly why I need to get the kids away from you." Right on cue, Noah walked into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. "Get the kids away from Mom," he repeated. "What?" Mark quickly smiled. "Hey, buddy, I was just saying we might do more weekends at Grandma's. That's all." Noah frowned. "But you told me yesterday that if I said I wanted to live with you instead, I wouldn't have to deal with Mom's episodes anymore." My heart clenched. Mark's head whipped toward him. "Noah, that was a private conversation." Noah shrugged, confused. "You said you'd be sad if I picked Mom. You said judges like calm dads, not dramatic moms." Jake walked in at that moment, hearing the last line. "Wow," Jake said. "You're not even subtle with him." Mark looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. "Both of you go to your room," he snapped. "No," I said. "They stay." He glared at me. "You don't get to tell me. I'm meeting a lawyer today," I cut in. "You want to go to war, Mark. Fine. But you're not going to hide behind edited clips and guilt-tripped kids." He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. For years I'd been the one begging for peace, apologizing for my tone, wondering if I was overreacting. That morning something had shifted. I was done. "If you try anything with the house," I added, "remember my father was not stupid. The deed is in my name only, and the trust has clauses for divorce and debt." I called his lawyer too. That part was a bluff. I hadn't called yet, but I knew my father. He'd warned me once before he died. "Don't let anyone put this house in their name, Laura. People change when money is involved." Mark opened his mouth, then closed it again. "This isn't over," he said finally. "I know," I replied. "That's why I'm getting ready." Dana's office was in a small building downtown. She sat me down, listened to everything, then asked to see my evidence. I showed her the screenshots, the posts, the texts, the videos. She watched the full version from the camera with her lips pressed tight. "This is textbook," she said. "He's building a case to paint you as unstable, then using that to push for full custody and the house. He's also in serious debt, judging by these messages. If he refinances the house without your consent, it's fraud, but people try. So what do I do?" Yes. "He's already posted about me publicly. Everyone thinks I'm this awful person. Right now he's making a lot of noise," Dana said calmly. "The court doesn't care about Facebook drama as much as he thinks. What matters is what we can show in a hearing. She pulled out a notepad. Here's the plan, she said. First, we file for legal separation and temporary custody before he does. We attach your evidence. The full video, the texts about manipulating narratives, the messages where he talks about using the kids. Second, we get ahead of any accusations of instability by having you do an evaluation with a therapist we trust. Third, we lock down the house. I'll refer you to a property lawyer to confirm the trust situation. It sounds like war, I said quietly. Dana looked at me. He started it when he went after your reputation and your relationship with your kids. You're defending yourself. Will the boys have to choose? Asked, my throat tight. We're going to try to avoid that, she said. But if he keeps dragging them in, we'll let the judge see that too. Judges do not like parents who coach kids. I thought about Noah's confused face in the kitchen. If there's any recording of him talking to Noah about what to say, Dana added, that would be huge. I hesitated. Noah's tablet records sometimes when he falls asleep with it on. He watches videos and the mic picks things up. I don't know if it caught anything, but check it, she said. Carefully. If there's something, we'll use it. If there isn't, that's fine. We already have a lot. That night, I sat on Noah's bed while he played on his tablet. Hey baby, I said gently. Can I look at your old videos later? I want to make a photo album of Christmases. He nodded. Sure, Mom. But some of them are boring. Boring is okay, I said, kissing his forehead. After he fell asleep, I went through the saved videos folder. There were random clips of cartoons, game screens, Noah humming to himself. Then there was one file from 2 weeks earlier, labeled by date and time. I hit play. The video was black, but the audio was clear. Noah must have dozed off with the tablet face down. I heard Mark's voice. Remember what I said, okay? He was saying. If anyone ever asks, you tell them Mom gets really angry and scares you when she yells. That she throws things. Judges listen to kids. Noah's small voice replied, sounding uneasy. But you yell too. I yell because I have to, Mark said. Because she pushes me. If you love me and want to live with me more, you tell them the truth. You don't want to stay stuck with her moods all the time, do you? My chest hurt listening to it. Noah was quiet for a long moment in the recording. Then he said, I don't want to choose. I know, Mark said, voice softening. But sometimes you have to help adults do what's best. Trust me, okay? The clip ended. I sat there in the dark, shaking with anger. This wasn't venting. This wasn't tough love. This was coaching a child to help him win in court. I sent the file to Dana immediately. Her reply: This is gold. Keep it safe. Do not confront him about it. We save it for the hearing. The custody hearing came faster than I expected. Mark filed his own petition a few days after I filed mine, full of accusations. He claimed I had emotional outbursts, that he feared for the boys' emotional safety, that I was unpredictable. He attached his edited video and screenshots of comments from his Facebook post. His lawyer leaned into the story hard. Mark the calm, rational father, me the unstable, dramatic mother. On the day of the hearing, I sat at the table with Dana and the attorney she'd brought in, Mr. Harris. Mark sat across from us with his lawyer and Evelyn. She wouldn't look at me. The judge, a woman in her 50s, flipped through the thick file of papers. Mr. Collins, she said to Mark, your petition paints a serious picture. Do you have any supporting evidence beyond this video and social media posts? Yes, Your Honor, Mark said, looking appropriately sad. My sons have seen her episodes. My mother has too. Holidays are especially hard. Last Christmas she started screaming over nothing in front of everyone. I had to calm her down. His lawyer stood. Your Honor, we'd like to play the video. They played his edited version on the screen. I watched myself on camera crying, raising my voice. I looked awful. I could see the judge's face tighten. When it ended, Mark's lawyer said, this has been a pattern for years. My client has been afraid to speak up. He finally posted his experience to seek support and protect his children. The judge turned to me. "Mrs. Collins, do you have anything to say?" My mouth was dry, but I forced myself to stand. "Yes, Your Honor," I said. "I want to show you what you're not seeing in that clip." Mr. Harris stepped forward. "Your Honor, with the court's permission, we'd like to submit additional video footage from the same incident, as well as text messages and an audio recording." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Proceed." First, we played the full video from the living room camera. The courtroom was quiet as Mark appeared on screen, cornering me in the kitchen, mocking me, glancing toward the camera. They heard him say, "Maybe this time I'll finally have enough. And no one's going to believe you." Then they saw him walk into the living room, switch to his calm victim voice, and poke at me until I snapped. The judge's face changed. Mark shifted in his seat, his jaw clenching. "Mrs. Collins," the judge said slowly, "how did this footage come into your possession?" "It was recorded on a hidden camera my husband installed," I said. "He used part of it to make me look unstable. We found the original file on the home system." "Mr. Collins?" the judge asked. Mark licked his lips. It was part of a smart home system," he stammered. "I forgot it was recording. I only kept the part where she was yelling because that's what I was trying to talk about." Dana slid printed screenshots to the clerk, who passed them to the judge. "Here are text messages," Mr. Harris said, "between Mr. Collins and a coworker, discussing using edited footage and social media posts to build a narrative for this very hearing, as well as his intention to refinance a house that is not in his name to pay his debts." The judge read them, her expression turning cold. Mark's lawyer tried to recover. "Your Honor, my client was venting. None of this proves that Mrs. Collins isn't unstable." "That's why there's one more piece," Mr. Harris said. "An audio recording from their son's tablet." He played the clip where Mark coached Noah to say he wanted to live with his dad and described me as someone who scares him, and talked about judges listening to kids. Evelyn's hand flew to her mouth. Jake, sitting in the back, stared at the floor. Noah sat next to him, looking scared but relieved that the truth was finally out without him having to speak. When the clip ended, the judge took off her glasses and looked directly at Mark. "Mr. Collins," she said, "do you understand how serious this is? Coaching a child to give false or exaggerated statements in a custody matter is not only unethical, it can be legally problematic." Mark's face was almost gray. "I was trying to prepare him," he said weakly. "She really does yell like that sometimes. I was afraid." The judge held up a hand. "I saw the context. I heard your own words about creating a narrative for court. I also see your financial records, which show significant undisclosed debt. It appears to this court that your primary concern has been control, both over the children and over the marital assets." His lawyer tried again. "Your Honor, with respect, my client is under stress. People say things they don't mean in private messages. Stress does not excuse manipulation of children," the judge replied sharply. "Nor does it excuse misrepresentation of evidence." She turned back to our table. "Mrs. Collins," she said, "your attorney submitted a mental health evaluation that shows no clinical issues and describes you as stressed but functional. You've been the primary caregiver for both boys. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," I said, my voice shaking. "I do most of their day-to-day care, school meetings, doctor appointments. Mark works long hours and is often away." "And you are not in debt, correct?" she added. "Correct," I said. "The house is in my name through a trust from my late father." The judge nodded once, made a few notes, then looked out over all of us. "Here is my decision," she said. You could have heard a pin drop. "Temporary primary custody will be awarded to Mrs. Collins," she said clearly. "The children will reside with her. Mr. Collins will have visitation, supervised for the time being, pending further review. Mr. Collins is ordered to attend a parenting class and individual counseling. He is also ordered not to post about this case or his children on social media." Mark's mouth opened and closed like a fish. As for the marital home, the judge continued, given that it is held in a pre-existing trust in Mrs. Collins's name, any attempt to refinance or encumber the property without her consent will be considered a violation and may result in sanctions. Financial disclosure will continue in the divorce proceedings. Then she looked at Mark directly again. You came into this courtroom presenting yourself as the calm, reasonable parent, she said. But evidence shows a pattern of manipulation, selective recording, and an attempt to use your children and public opinion to gain advantage. That ends today. I watched Mark's shoulders slump. His hands were shaking now. Later, as we left the courtroom, he tried to approach me in the hallway. This is your fault, he hissed under his breath. You made me look like a monster. I met his eyes. You did that all by yourself, I said quietly. I only showed people the full picture. He opened his mouth to argue, but Jake stepped between us. Dad, stop, Jake said firmly. You lied. You tried to turn us against Mom. You tried to use me and Noah. That's on you. Mark looked at his own son like he'd never seen him before. Evelyn walked up slowly. For once, she looked fragile instead of superior. I didn't know, she said to me, voice shaking. He told me you were dramatic. Believed my son. I'm sorry, Laura. He nodded. You see it now. That's enough. I didn't promise her anything else. Forgiveness would come later, if ever. Right then I was focused on my boys and on breathing freely for the first time in years. Months later, the divorce was finalized. Kept the house. Mark's attempt to touch it got shut down hard once the trust details came out. His debts were his debts. He had to move into a small apartment and stick to the visitation schedule, still supervised for a while. He lost a lot of respect at his job too. Word got around about the court case and the coaching recording. HR called it a concern about judgment. He wasn't fired, but he was moved out of his management track. The Facebook post that started everything. He eventually deleted it after his lawyer begged him to, but screenshots don't disappear. People who'd rushed to call me crazy saw the court outcome. Some reached out and apologized. Some stayed quiet, embarrassed. I didn't need their approval anymore. The best part was watching Noah slowly relax again. His therapist helped him understand that none of this was his fault, that it wasn't his job to protect one parent from the other. Jake went back to college, but he called often protective in a way that made my heart ache and heal at the same time. I still have moments where I wonder if I'm difficult, because that word was planted deep. But now, when I feel that doubt, I remember the look on the judge's face when she saw the whole truth. I remember the recordings, the messages, the way Mark had carefully built a lie. From everything that happened, I learned that staying quiet to keep the peace can slowly erase you, and it only makes it easier for people with bad intentions to write your story for you. If you feel like someone is twisting reality and using your own reactions against you, document everything and learn your rights. You can be emotional and still be right, and you're allowed to protect yourself and your children. If you've been through something similar or want to share your own story, write it in the comments. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, hit the like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next stories.